Hello Year 8. Today we are starting our revision lessons for the yearly exam. So in this booklet that you've been given today, we are going to do one lesson on each of the chapters that we have done throughout the year. We'll spend one whole lesson focusing on each topic. At the beginning of each section, there is some warm-up questions which we're going to do together, and then there are some questions that follow that for you to practice for yourself. So this is a very quick, brief run through today of algebra and indices that we did way back at the beginning of the year. So in question 1, we are wanting to remember all the different types of simplifying that we can do with adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So the first question, 7x plus 4x, when you're adding, as long as you have like terms, then you can add the numbers in front. So 7 plus 4 makes 11x. Part B is a slightly harder version of addition and subtraction because we have to pick which ones are the like terms. 2a and minus a are like terms, and 3b and plus 5b are like terms. So in their pairs, 2a subtracting 1a would be 1a, or just a, and 3b plus 5b is a positive 8b. Question C is multiplication. When multiplying, you multiply the numbers in front. 5 times 3 is 15, and then the letters collect up the end. If the letters have powers, then letters with the same base, you add the powers. So that will be a to the power of 2 plus 3, which is 5. Part D, it's a fraction, but that means divide. We are wanting to divide 9 by 3, which is 3. And when you divide, letters cancel. So an x squared and an x, we could cancel one x from the bottom with 1 on the top. So there would be 1x left over. 3x is the answer. Part E, this is called a power of a power question, when you have a power inside the bracket and a power outside of the bracket. When that happens, you multiply the powers together. 3 times 2 is 6, so that this equals m to the power of 6. Part F is about powers of 0. Anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Now, only the n is to the power of 0, not the other things there. So we still have the 5m multiplied with that 1, which is just 5m. Okay, so that's your main simplification rules that you need to be familiar with. Next, we want to go on to expanding. When you have things in front of brackets, to expand them out, you have to times it by each thing inside the bracket. So 4 times x is 4x, then plus 4 times the 3 is 12. That would be a normal standard type of question. A slightly harder version is part B, where you have 2 brackets. So you have to expand each of them. 2 times x is 2x. Then we have a plus sign in the bracket. 2 times 3 is 6. Then we move on to the 3 in front of the next bracket. So plus 3 times x is 3x. And then 3 times a negative 1 is negative 3. Then we have like terms to collect. 2x plus 3x makes 5x. And positive 6 take away 3 would be a positive 3. So 5x plus 3 is the answer. Question 3, factorize. Factorizing is the reverse of what we were just doing. We want to put that into brackets. To do that, we have to find the highest number that is a factor of both of those terms. And sometimes there are letter factors as well. So when we look at 8 and 12, the highest number that you could divide by would be 4. So the 4 comes out the front of the bracket, then you open the bracket, and you divide each term and put the leftovers inside. 8x divided by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and then we have the x. So that's the first term. Then we have a plus, and now we want to do the second term. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Close bracket, and we're finished. Question 4. Evaluate when x equals 3 and y equals minus 2 if 2x minus 3y is our expression. So we're subbing into this, and we have some numbers here. These are the numbers that we want to sub in. So we're working with the yellow part. 2x means 2 times the number, and x is 3, so it'll be 2 times 3. And then minus 3y is going to be 3 times the minus 2. Okay, you don't need to do the order operations. You can just type that answer into your calculator. So we do 2 times 3 minus 3 times minus 2 makes the answer 12. Okay, last couple of questions here are to do with fractions. There are 4 operations: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. But add and subtract are very similar, and multiply and divide are very similar. So I've just done one of each of those. So when you are adding or subtracting, which is this first type here, you must have a common denominator, which means the numbers on the bottom of those fractions need to be the same. Now, an 8 and a 5 are clearly not the same at the moment, so what we need to do is multiply them together. 8 times 5 is 40. Then, if we change in the denominator, that means we also have to change the numerators. To do that, you times diagonally. 3d times 5. 3 times 5 is 15d. You always start with the top left and multiply down. Now, this is an addition question, so I'm going to have a plus here. But if it was subtraction, that would be the only difference in the process here, that you would put a minus in there. Then we do the other, multiply the other direction. 2d times 8 makes 16d. Then we add together the top. 16d plus 15d makes 31d over 40. Okay, so that's your process for adding and subtracting. Multiplying and dividing. When you're multiplying, you are wanting to cancel any factors, whether they're letters or numbers, anywhere from the top with anywhere from the bottom. So, for example, let's make this a bit bigger here. I could look at the 5 and the 20, and both of those numbers can be divided by 5. 5 divided by 5 goes once, 20 divided by 5 goes 4 times. I also have a G on the top and a G on the bottom, so they can cancel off. Okay, so now let's look at the other diagonal, the 9 and the 12. Both of those numbers can be divided by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, so I have done a lot of cancelling, but there is one more thing that I can cancel. I have a 4 on the top and a 4 on the bottom. So even though they're directly over each other, I can still cancel those off. Dividing by 4, I would get 1 and 1. So once you have cancelled everything that you can possibly cancel, you need to do that as neatly as possible, because now you have to carefully try to see what is left. On the top of the fraction, I have a h and an m. I also have some 1s. 1 times 1 is 1, but 1 times h is just h, and the m. So I have hm on the top of that fraction. On the bottom, all of the letters, which was just the G, has cancelled off. And I have a 3 times a 1, which is just 3 on the bottom. Okay, so that's my brief little run through. Time for you to practice. Your revision questions start on the next page.